Hello and welcome to CTV News across Canada for Tuesday, December 23rd. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
2:36 a.m. at the corner of Augusta and Oxford in the heart of Kensington Market. 3 people can be seen standing on the corner. The first shot, a second shot. One man's hit, falling to the pavement. Another man runs south on Augusta. The gunman continues to fire, 7 shots in all. The shooter, along with another man, vacate the area. The victim left wounded in the road before bystanders call police.
Officers arrived on scene and located a male victim in his 30s who had been shot.
According to police, the man was taken to hospital in life-threatening condition as Augusta Street remained closed for the morning.
The preliminary information we have is that this was a targeted event.
According to witnesses, 2 men were seen fleeing east on Oxford Street.
I don't know whether the firecrackers or gunshots, but that's it's been a while since I've last heard anything like that.
The annual winter solstice party happened in Kensington last night, with the shooting happening hours after it wrapped up, as residents like Ian Watson woke up to learn of the shooting.
Yeah, I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, and so I'm kind of used to it, but it's definitely, you know, the city in general has gone downhill in many ways.
Police are asking the public for help as they seek these 2 suspects. As for the victim,
Initially, the reports that we have is that the person was in life-threatening condition. I have been updated that that has been upgraded to non-life-threatening, but very serious.
there's been no word on the person fleeing from the shots.
And Natalie, the police are asking for any help that can be given, mostly anybody who might have dash cam footage, any security camera footage, as they're trying to piece this together. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Natalie, Michelle, send it back to you.
It's not nuts! In the spirit of giving, the union representing hospital workers leaves a present at Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli's office door. A lump of coal.
Unfortunately, he's not in.
Describing him as the Grinch that stole health care in North Bay.
We're going to rev up the campaign in this community to press him as a senior minister in the Ford government to come through with adequate funding, because the community depends on this hospital.
The union places the blame for 40 hospital job cuts coming in mid-March squarely on the Ford government. Jobs affected include 13 nursing positions, registered practical nurses, PSWs, clerical staff, a pharmacy technician, and a patient food service worker. The hospital needs to find $5.6 million in savings.
Cuts like this are going to hurt the people who live in their community, their neighbors.
Last week, Fideli announced $15 million in hospital funding for the 2025-26 year. But the hospital says that money will not change the decision to make the cuts. The hospital adds it will allow staff to support alternate levels of care and improve patient flow. According to the union, that money is not new and was already built in the hospital's budget.
We're not buying into his smoke and mirrors. The strategy Mr. Fideli's trying to employ here is to show his constituents that he's trying to do something about healthcare when really he's not.
On funding, Fideli says in part, since 2020, we have increased annual funding for the NBRHC by $49.3 million, a nearly 20% increase as part of our government's $91 billion investment in healthcare across the province. The province and hospital have maintained since October the cuts will not impact patient services at the hospital. But rally-goers who faced long wait times in the ER say the hospital is understaffed.
She waited in Emerge for 5 hours before she was seen or even had a CT scan done. I couldn't believe it.
The union fears cuts to the hospital will lead to an incentive to further privatize healthcare. Eric Tashner, CTV News.
What's left is a little more than rubble. A lobster buyer and dealer's property reduced to debris after a fast-moving fire early this morning.
The fire was initially reported by a lobster fisherman who was checking on his boat about 2:30 and saw some smoke coming from the building. At that point in time, 911 was called and we initiated a full response.
Crews moved quickly, but the fire had already spread throughout the building.
Heavy volume of fire, a lot of problems with icing and the temperature, but crews did what they could, and it's not the outcome that we wanted, but unfortunately we definitely did our best.
Inside the structure was a lobster pound with possible residential space above. CTV visited the business last week when it was in operation. Officials confirmed no one was inside and no injuries were reported.
People come here to buy fresh local seafood, not just lobster. He also has a whole variety of other seafood. So come to seafood shopping, this is the place to go.
But due to the fire, customers who had seafood put on hold will have to go elsewhere. And local fishermen who supplied the catch will have to find another buyer.
He also buy from the local boats. So that will be impact not only for the seafood consumers, also to the boats he's buying from.
This is the third recent fire affecting the seafood industry. Last week, a lobster holding facility burned in New Brunswick, and another processing plant was destroyed by fire in Wallace. Due to the age of the building, fire crews say fighting the flames was extremely difficult.
After the aggressive interior attack, we were forced to go defensive, and that meant just spraying water from the outside for crew safety.
For now, the cause remains under investigation. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Eastern Passage.
Not too much, but it was smoky.
Nabil Murad recalls the sound of the fire alarm in his apartment building late Sunday night, thinking it was just another false alarm.
5 minutes when the fire engines came in, we all went down, went outside, everybody was calm.
Emergency crews were called to this 7-story high-rise in the 200 block of Gladstone Avenue around 9:30 p.m.
I just noticed all the lights outside, so I was looking out, and there's like every type of vehicle you could imagine out here, lights on for, I want to say, more than an hour.
Upon arrival, fire crews were met with heavy smoke conditions and zero visibility on the 4th floor where the fire started.
The fire itself was in the kitchen area. It was extinguished before it could spread even past the kitchen area. Firefighters contained it, and it didn't spread to any other apartments.
Firefighters found a resident unconscious on the floor of the unit. A 70-year-old man was transported to hospital with life-threatening injuries.
They carried him out down to the lobby where firefighters were waiting. They created a medical sector where firefighters assessed and treated the resident for burns and smoke inhalation.
He was stabilized on scene and during transport to the hospital where he was in life-threatening condition. Also, an elderly male in his 80s sustained more milder smoke inhalation and was treated on scene by paramedics and during his transport to the hospital, but he was in stable condition.
The blaze was declared under control just after 10 p.m. According to DeFazio, all residents on scene were able to return to their units.
5th floors and up, it was extensive ventilation that took place to get all the smoke out of the apartment building. They checked the air quality, make sure there's no carbon monoxide in the air, and all the residents were able to return back to their apartments and weren't displaced.
For Murad, thankful first responders were able to act so quickly.
The fire people were very helpful, telling us about the situation every couple of minutes.
Ottawa Fire has a list of tips of what to do if you're in a high-rise building and a fire breaks out. If the fire is in your unit, get out fast and close the door to prevent it from spreading. If you see smoke and no fire when trying to evacuate, stay in your unit and place a wet towel under the door and wait for first responders to arrive. A full list can be found on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca.
3 weeks after a tow truck operator from Kitchener was killed on Highway 401, police arrested and charged a man Monday.
The Oxford OPP arrested and charged a 32-year-old male from Mount Hope, Ontario, with dangerous operation causing death and failure to stop after an accident resulting in death.
On December 3rd, a 42-year-old tow truck operator from Kitchener was helping a stranded motorist near Oxford Road 3 when he was hit by a passing vehicle just after 7 in the morning. The vehicle that hit him fled the area. Police released a photo of a vehicle of interest and said they had identified a driver on December 4th.
Between that time and now, a full investigation took place with assistance from the Oxford OBP Major Crime Unit as well as the OBP Traffic Incident Management Enforcement Team. And as a result of that investigation, on today's date, the accused driver was arrested and charged.
32-year-old Sandeep Singh of Mount Hope was arrested on Monday.
We just want to thank the public for their assistance in providing the information that they did. And again, just want to share our thoughts and condolences to the victim's family and loved ones during this tragic time.
The president of the Professional Towing Association of Ontario tells CTV News it means a lot to the industry to see charges laid.
We're just happy that somebody has been charged with this and that the courts can do their due process on it.
Following the crash, tow truck operators from across the province gathered in Kitchener to hold a procession along the 401, celebrating the life of the man that was killed and to remind all drivers in Ontario that it is law to move over and slow down for emergency vehicles and tow trucks on the highway with their flashing lights on.
To know that the system is working as it's such. And it is a reminder to all the motorists out there that they need to slow down, move over. And if they don't, there's consequences for it. So yeah, we're definitely as an industry very pleased to see that this has happened.
Now, Singh was released from custody and is expected to appear in court in Woodstock on January 27th. Police say they are not looking for any other suspects.
Since his first GM dealership in 1965, Paul Sadlin has been meeting the competition head-on.
Spending 60 years in the automotive business as a General Motors dealer, the oldest ever. The Sadlin family has announced that Paul Sadlin Sr. has passed away over the weekend.
60 years ago, I was the youngest GM dealer they had at the time, 93 around the corner. It's something you dream of.
A name synonymous with the city of Barrie, signs reading "You're entering Paul Sadlin country" among major routes. Paul Sadlin dealership in North Barrie, Sadlin Arena, the Sadlin Center for Health and Wellness, all bearing the Sadlin name. A sign of the philanthropist he was.
He's pushing 1984 truck prices down.
Come on, guys, let's move!
It's the biggest and best truck sale you'll ever see.
Archive footage showing Sadlin's charisma and creativity through advertisements.
Because foreign cars cost us jobs, Paul Sadlin is declaring war on the imports.
Member of Parliament John Brassard saying, "My condolences to the Sadlin family and everyone who Paul thought of as family at Paul Sadlin Motors, 550 Bayfield Street in Barrie. With all his success, Paul never forgot how it happened. He knew it came as a result of his customers and employees, and always with a deep sense of appreciation. He shared in that success by giving so much back to the communities he, his family, his employees, and his customers lived."
It's been just a great 60 years. GM is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mayor Alex Nuttall released a statement saying he was an incredibly generous man who supported so many local causes, from conservation to Georgian College to RVH and local hockey. Our thoughts and prayers are with Mr. Sadlin's family at this time. Paul Sadlin Sr. is survived by his children, Jan Daly and Paul Jr., and his grandchildren. He was 93 years old. Luke Samard, CTV News, Barrie.
Sarnia's Blue Water Health has implemented masking in all clinical areas following a recent surge in influenza cases.
Out of abundance of precaution to protect our staff and patients, we decided to implement this mandatory masking whenever we're within 2 meters of a patient and assume that basically everybody is positive.
Dr. Michael Haddad with Blue Water Health says he has seen the effects of the severe flu season firsthand.
I still encourage people to be vaccinated for both influenza and COVID, and knowing that they're not necessarily 100% effective, but they will really reduce to a certain extent the impact of such infection if you get it, so you don't get as sick and end up in the hospital.
Haddad says wearing a mask is just one of the many layers of protection against infection.
Our staff, if we think they've been exposed to influenza without any protection, then we also offer them Tamiflu.
With Christmas around the corner, Haddad is warning individuals to be mindful of their symptoms and who they come in contact with.
If you think that any family member is at higher risk of getting really sick if they contract the influenza, then it's probably best to stay away from them.
Blue Water says it will continue to review its masking requirement and make changes based on respiratory illness trends.
Try to enjoy the holiday season as much as you can, but not get sick or get somebody else sick.
Symptoms of influenza may include fever, cough, body aches, and extreme tiredness. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
With snow falling, Montreal's main shopping artery is buzzing with Christmas spirit, and some don't seem to mind the hustle and bustle.
It's just nice to be out in the city, and it's nice that it's snowing.
I love it. I mean, there's a lot of people, but there's no line at the cashier. There's a lot of people looking at stuff but not buying.
A whole lot of people are shopping last minute to the benefit of retailers. This time of year is critical for their bottom line.
From November to the end of December, it's about 45-50% of our total sales over the year. That's been done in the last 2 months of the year.
Dawei Ding owns Signé Local, a company that sells Quebec products. One of his stores is located in the Eaton Centre, and business is good.
REM opened a station at McGill not long ago, and that had a very positive impact on our flow.
He's not the only one noticing what a difference the REM is making. Quebec's Retail Council says since opening a new branch of the REM, more people can easily access downtown.
It's a nightmare to take the car right now, to go to downtown, to park, etc. So right now it's very easy to come, to stay, to buy, and to leave quickly. And it wasn't the case.
We observed a sharp increase of foot traffic since the REM opened.
Consumer habits are changing, with many people buying early Christmas gifts on Black Friday.
This year, we gave a $20 cash back on every purchase that's above $100, and so many people jumped on the occasion.
Almost 80% of the population began to buy in November, and they waited half of them, around 50%, the Black Friday.
Shoppers say depending on what store you visit, expect a lineup.
Some stores are crazy.
It's seasonal. It's what you do. You always do the last minute shopping.
'Tis the season for stressful and pressure-packed shopping trips. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
Stretching more than 40 kilometers between Tilbury and Windsor, drivers along this corridor are limited to 110 kilometers per hour.
I just got back from a trip to Europe, and they drove a lot faster there. The Autobahn in Germany is much faster. And so I find the speed limits here are definitely a lot slower.
Even using the 401 sparingly, Windsor driver Robert Saunders feels the speed limit could use an update.
So if you're talking about good weather conditions, 120 should be fine.
Those changes are underway in Alberta, where drivers will be pressing the gas a little harder. Government in that province greenlit a pilot project increasing the speed limit to 120 kilometers per hour on some rural highways.
I like to make time if I have to go to Toronto. I wouldn't mind if it was a 120, to tell you the truth.
I think there is an appetite for a majority of Ontarians that would favorably consider an increased speed limit.
At the Ontario Safety League, President Angelo DeCicco says increasing the speed limit should rely on research. Since 2019, the province has raised the speed along stretches of 400 series highways by 10 kilometers per hour. Increasing the speed limit, DeCicco says, shouldn't change the definition of stunt driving.
That hard cap limit of 150 kilometers an hour should not be touched. I would not recommend that in any way, shape, or form.
So far, the Ford government has not hinted at further speed limit increases. Former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis believes that's the right call, saying it will only put more strain on police resources.
People are going to drive 10, 15, 20 kilometers over. So if you up it to 120, now you know people are going to be doing 130, 135, 140. And so that's going to increase the number of deaths and injuries.
Regardless of which direction Ontario takes, the Ontario Safety League says greater education is a must on the roads.
Many people will be surprised to find out that there are areas on the 401 where the speed limit, the maximum, has already been increased to 110. And that was several years ago.
CTV News reached out to the Ontario Ministry of Transportation for comment, but did not hear back by our deadline. Robert Lothian, CTV News, Windsor.
The parents of Henry Losco are searching for answers after the 11-year-old died on Friday night due to a carbon monoxide leak in their apartment building. Losco's father, Sergio, and mother, Marina Hills, both say a carbon monoxide alarm did not go off during the incident.
I don't know if there's been some on the other stores
but nobody, if it's been or it was unearthed or nobody can check for the other apartment. And now my son is gone. I need to know why.
Hills recounts coming home from work and finding Sergio on the floor, struggling for breath before finding Henry in his room. Hills says a neighbor called 911 while she attempted to revive him. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but it was too late for Henry. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Hills says all occupants of the building were forced to evacuate, and she was allowed back inside after a few hours.
There was about 7 or 8 police, and they just sat in the hallway and they all cried. Oh, they all cried. And I just told them how beautiful my son was, and I kissed him and I kissed him, and I couldn't stop kissing him.
Regina Fire Chief Lane Jackson says there is an ongoing investigation following the incident, but the cause of the leak was found to be a piece of service equipment that was being repaired at the time.
The investigators and some technical experts are still examining very carefully that piece of equipment to determine what failed with it and the nature of that failure.
Hills says she will not be going back to their apartment building and doesn't know where she and Sergio, who is currently being treated for carbon monoxide poisoning, will live now.
I don't know where I'm going to go. I have to try to bury my son, and they want me to pick a funeral home, and I don't even know which one to pick.
Hills also saying she is grateful that she was allowed to say one final goodbye to her son before investigators took over, adding his name was Henry Benjamin Losco and he was only 11 years old. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
P are investigating after a preteen boy was found dead on Ochapowace Nation Saturday night. According to police, the boy left a home on foot around 5 p.m., moving from one residence to another, but he never made it to his destination. The boy's body was found by someone passing by just before 8 p.m., located several hundred meters from the original residence. An autopsy is needed to confirm a cause of death, but at this time, it is not being considered suspicious. RCMP cannot confirm if the death is related to an animal mauling, weather conditions, or if another element was a factor. The Office of Chief and Counsel has released a statement extending their condolences to the boy's family, saying, "This was a horrific incident that has deeply shaken our community and is especially devastating at this time of the year." Adding, "We hold the family, their loved ones, and those who came upon this tragic scene in our prayers. They are also offering mental health and crisis supports for anyone who needs it." Because the cause of death has not been determined, RCMP are asking the public to refrain from any vigilant acts towards animals. The Ochapowace Nation also says information will be prepared on measures to help prevent future incidents like this. Mick Favel, CTV News, near the Ochapowace Nation.